Hello, hello guys. Welcome and welcome back. I hope you are doing great. Consider subscribing for more stories. AITA for not apologizing to my friend after she screamed at me and my kid at her wedding. Obligatory. This is a throwaway. 2 weeks ago, I, 29, hubby Mun 31, and son 4, attended my BFF 28 wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony, and everything was going great, until BF and her husband cut the cake. Important context, EF did speak to me during her wedding planning about being unsure on whether or not to allow kids at her wedding. Her 2 sisters both have kids around son's age, and she sees him as her nephew too. But she wanted to be able to let loose and enjoy her wedding without worrying about any kids messing things up. I gave her my opinion, saying me and hubby allowed kids at our wedding and wouldn't have it any other way. The kids were still family and deserved to be included. After that, and speaking with her sisters, she and her husband ooked kids for the wedding. Now, the ceremony went swimmingly. Beth's nieces sat with me, hubby and son, as her sisters were in the bridal party. I brought quiet activities to keep them entertained and everybody behaved. I even cried from how lovely it was. When we got to the reception, nieces were returned to their parents, so it was now just me, hubby, and son. Dinner went fine, and then the couple took to the dance floor for their first dance. Afterwards, everybody was welcomed to the floor to dance for a bit before cake cutting. At this point, the kids were running around and playing with each other, and it was a fairly secure space, and I knew almost everybody there, so I felt comfortable with son playing with the other kids, while hubby and I had fun dancing. Important to mention now, hubby offered to deed so I could enjoy myself, so I had had a couple glasses of wine at this point. Beth had also been drinking and celebrating. Beth and her husband go to do cake cutting, and hubby and I are a little slow getting there, so there was a crowd blocking our view. Suddenly, I hear Biff scream son's name. Hubby and I push forward to see what's wrong. I see my son with frosting around his mouth and on his fingers. The cake had a small chunk taken out of it. I try to apologize, but Beth turns around and yells, "This is your fault! Your son ruined my cake! He's only here because you told me it would be worth it to include the kids." I yelled back, telling her that it was just an accident, and the rest of the cake was still edible, that this was her nephew she was screaming about. She told me I was no friend of hers and he wasn't her nephew in front of everyone. She told me to leave or she'd call security. Son and I were crying out and the 3 of us left. One of the bride's sisters reached out to me after and apologized for her sister's reaction, but said I needed to apologize for. I think sorries are out the window now after her outburst. I told her sister so and said I expect an apology first before I'd say anything to her. Put your suggestions in the comment section. Here is another story. I, 23F, am having a baby soon. I'm about 32 weeks pregnant and can't wait for my little bundle of joy with me and my fiancé. So here's the tea. My Mill asked my fiancé if she could be in the room with me when I go to give birth. This would be the first grandchild on either side of the family. I'm the oldest child in my family and he's the youngest, an only boy, and none of his sisters are even thinking about marriage, kids, family, etc. They're more career-focused. There's nothing wrong with that, but it seems like because of this she is putting her time and attention on the 2 of us and our relationship because she wants grandchildren. Oh yeah, and our child is also a boy. Here are my reasonings for not having her in the room. 1. I don't think I would feel comfortable with her there. Giving birth is a very vulnerable position, and if I'm allowed 2 people with me, I would prefer of course my fiancé and my mother. I'm closer to my mom. I know she will advocate for my health. She's also a nurse. And she has had 5 children, and she's my mom and at some point in my life has seen all parts of me. 2. His mom has a tendency to have things go wrong when it comes to attention being put on the 2 of us. Mill has on several occasions had incidents where she needed to be taken to the hospital, or the ER, if we were doing something. For example, the day we were going to check out a wedding venue, she accidentally took too much of a medicine that made her disoriented, loopy, and out off it. She lit her lamp on fire and fell out of her bed. Thankfully, my fiancé and I hadn't left yet, and his grandmother came running out of the house saying she was unconscious. He went in to check on her, the ambulance was called, and she spent 3 days in the hospital after that. I know it could be a coincidence, but this has happened more than once. To the point where she has finally accepted that this medicine she has to take has to be regulated by his sister. 3. She is purposely taking money from him. At the beginning of June, after we had moved out into an apartment on our own in April, she changed the grandmother's banking information at the beginning of the month and the social security check could not get to her. My fiancé is on the mortgage for the family home. There's a whole backstory of why, but that isn't entirely important here, to which he has had to pay the mortgage for 3 months. Every time he asks what's going on with the social security check, there's always a different excuse. Oh, the office was closed. Oh, I don't feel good. Oh, I'll call you back later about it. Both of us are working and we both pay equal for the bills in our apartment, but we are going to need all income when the baby is here since we will need to take care of hospital bills, baby formula, to supplement breastfeeding, diapers, etc. Yes, I have thought about getting on Wix to help ease these issues, but it... Note she does not have a job, was in debt until she won at a casino and fixed her issues. Well, some of them. She still owes on her car, and gets disability because she can't work for. I do not want her to feel entitled to taking care of our child. I don't think she is physically capable of helping me take care of myself or my baby in the eld room, let alone when I'm cleared to go home with our son. She has proven that she can't walk without help, has injured both of her arms and isn't physically stable. I will not allow for the baby to be put in danger. Another note, yes, my fiancé is agreeing with me on not having his mother take care of the baby until she can prove she is capable, as he has told her, and both of us work opposite schedules with zero overlap. One works comes home and the other goes into work. We will not need a babysitter unless we want to spend time alone together. 5. Finally, she has made unnecessary indirect comments about me. He called her one day to talk to her and was telling her about what he was making for dinner. My fiancé usually makes dinner for us when he's off work, or when he feels like it because he knows how hard it is for me to work from 5 to 1 p, while being heavily pregnant and on my feet all day at work. I do all of the cleaning in the apartment. This has a lot to do with nesting and me being a neat freak. He called her to ask about a recipe and her response was, "Why are doing all this cooking? You're working full-time and going to school. I just don't want my son to get sick." At the time of this conversation he was still taking online college courses. He has since graduated, but she made it seem as thought I was not doing anything at all, even though I am full-time carrying a child that, physically, mentally and emotionally takes a lot out of me. Anyone who has been pregnant knows what I'm talking about. Anyone who hasn't, I can promise you pregnancy is not for the weak. I don't know what she thinks I'm doing all day, but I do contribute a lot to the family that we are building, by making one of the members, working full-time still at 32 weeks, cleaning up the apartment, and of course being my fiancé's emotional support, and working with him as a team for everything he needs me to. All that being said, I don't know if I don't want her there out of resentment I may have or if I'm valid in my thought. Tilder, I don't want my mill in the labor and delivery room with me because I don't think she will support me or the baby while I'm there. She has proven to not want to support me other way, and only takes money in any other way, and only takes money in any other way, and only takes money and resources from us. What do you think, guys? Put your thoughts in the comment section.